in Indo-European mythology as we know it, which extends back 5,000 years, most of it's not written down, and we only know it in the various pagan forms that it took in Europe and the Middle East in some capacities, and the influence it had on Hinduism as well. But in Hinduism, in Zoroastrianism, in Greek mythology, in Celtic mythology in some sense, in Slavic mythology, there's always this motif of like two twin brothers who are divine, and they're also associated with horses. They have like horses as their symbolism. And in all of these different cultures, like that story goes differently. The brothers mean something else. They have a different role. They perform different feats, whatever it might be. And historians or archaeologists, they always associate this with like an original Indo-European myth that it likely derived from. And you can see that even through the language in some of these examples and the words for those brothers and how they relate etymologically. But an interesting example, there's no evidence of this practice or of this myth of the twin horse brothers existing in Germanic mythology in particular. There's no example of it, especially like the southern Germanics, not the Norse, but there's no evidence of it. It's never been attested to. But at the fall of the Roman Empire, when the Western Romans are pulling out of Britannia, what will later be England, the UK, or whatnot, they pull out, and a group of Germanics start to move in, and they start to migrate there, and start to settle, start to conquer, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the Anglo-Saxons. This is what we call them. It's a tribal confederation between Angles, Saxons, Jutes, some Frisians. And what's interesting, according to the stories that were written down, and we don't know if they're entirely historical because they were only written down 100 or 200 years later, but the leaders of this expedition were two brothers named Hengist and Horsa, which are just two different words for horse in Old English. It's two like twin brothers who are associated with horses, and they're leading the Anglo-Saxons on this migration into Britannia. Now, what's bizarre about this is like around 500 AD. This myth of the horse twin brothers, it exists in all of these other traditions that I just mentioned for thousands of years before that, or it's attested to thousands of years. And in that Germanic context, there was no attestation or any practice associated with the twin horse brothers. And all of a sudden, you have two twin brothers named Horse and Horse invading the British Isles and leading this expedition. And they were Norse pagans, or Germanic pagans in this way. They were associated with this Indo-European tradition. Why did it emerge in 500 AD and not earlier in any practice? And according to the sources, when they were first